Welcome back everyone to another ASC draft video, and today it's not a mock draft. We're gonna do something different today, and if you watched the last mock draft, you would know that this is going to be my top 10 wide receivers in the 2021 NFL draft. So I'm hoping to get through every position group up until the draft, but I'm not gonna make any promises. Before we get into the top 10, I'm gonna break down how I grade prospects, because I've actually never really explained to you guys how I do that. So essentially how I break down players is I have very specific traits to each player that I rank. Take a specific category, assign a point value to that category, and then I grade that player in that category out of however many points it is. The total amount of points a player can get with all these categories added up, which are 7 total categories, is 100. Add up all the categories, and then they get a score out of 100. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. I will have all of my scores for each of those categories on the screen while I break down each player. With that being said, be sure to like the video and subscribe here to All Sports Culture on YouTube, and follow our Instagram at All Sports Culture. Let's jump right in to my top 10 wide receivers in the 2021 NFL Draft. Coming in at number 10 is a Monroe St Brown out of USC. Now, St Brown, he's just a really quality, just all-around receiver. And I think if a team like the Packers, the 49ers, the Jets, one of those, Shanahan spread zone offenses could get their hands on a guy like a Monroe St Brown, he could be very excellent in those systems, and he could potentially be a number 1 wide receiver. He's got good hands. He's got a good release package. His route running is pretty all right. His separations is pretty decent as well. His after the catch ability, I know a lot of people seem to like it a lot. I think he gets a little lost once in a while. His run blocking is excellent, and his athleticism, it's pretty solid, but he lacks some long speed. And these receivers in that scheme, they love they love big tall guys that can run block and just catch the ball, but don't really do anything after the catch. But Amon-Ra, unlike his brother, actually provides value there. But overall, he's just a really solid all-around receiver. I do like those guys. He's going to come in right at number 10 because those guys definitely have value in this league. At number 9, we have Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU. Now, this is probably coming as a surprise to a lot of you because there are draft analysts that have him in the top 5. I like him. I don't love him as much as everyone else does. I think he's very raw. Athletically, he's a freak of nature, and his hands, they were really good at receiver 3, but once he started becoming the prominent wide receiver in this offense and really taking on that role, they kind of put him in the slot a lot this year. His hands kind of fell off a little bit, but obviously he's getting a lot more targets. Of course, his drop number is going to spike up a bit. So I'm not as high on him in his hands. He also just opted out randomly. He kind of just gave up on the team, and there was a lot of moments throughout the season where you could see him just completely give up on plays, and it was really sad to see. I mean, his blocking was just so effortless. It just was kind of bleh. And I think he could shore up his route tree a bit more, but I see the potential there. I think he definitely could be the best receiver out of this class. He definitely could be, but he is a very boomer bust prospect in this class. I think he's the most boomer bust guy in this top 10. I think he could definitely be one of the best or one of the worst picks in this entire draft. Another shocker, Kadarius Toney comes in at number 8 from Florida, tied in grade with Terrace Marshall Jr. And I only really have him above Terrace Marshall because I actually see a role carved out for him in the NFL where a team could utilize him so well that he will be there for a long time, no matter if he flames out or not, because he still is so dynamic with the ball in his hands. Now, his hands, they're all right. His release is pretty decent. His route running was really bad up until this year. This year, he took a giant step up in his route running ability. You all know about his ability to create separation, and his run after the catch ability is just utterly ridiculous. Though he is built really well, I have concerns with his long speed. A lot of people overrate how fast he is when he, is going for those vertical go routes. He's not that fast. I think he's more of like a low 4.4s player. A lot of people view him as a 4.3 player. I don't really see that, but you get the ball in this guy's hands, he's going to create. and that's what a team is going to draft him to do. I don't really see him as like a number 1 wide receiver in an NFL offense. I could see him as a number 2 gadget guy that you can just give him the ball and go crazy with. I value guys that can really be the focal point of an offense. I think Kadarius Toney could be a very good complementary piece, which I wouldn't spend a first round pick on a complementary piece. That's just me. But that's why I have him at number 8. At number 7, I've got Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State, who, just like Monroe St Brown, is just a really nice all-around wide receiver. Oklahoma State didn't really use him as much as I think he has in his arsenal. They really stuck him as a Z receiver on the outside on the right, and I think that kind of limits him. I think he can play all around the formation. I think he can play in the slot. I think he's got really good traits just all around. He's got one of the highest floors in this entire class for a receiver. If you need a receiver to, like an Arizona, like a Tennessee, take him, because I think he would just slot right in and give you quality production right out the gate. You can see my grades for him. I think he's just all around a really good player. He doesn't really excel at anything or is bad at anything. He's just really good all around. I think he's got a lot more left to offer. I just really like him. He could even be a number 1 wide receiver. I could definitely see a path for him. That still is yet to be seen. That's why I have him at number 7. At number 6, spoiler alert, this is probably going to be in my guys video, and this is Dyami Brown. Dyami Brown is an absolute fun time. Oh my god, if you guys have not watched Dyami Brown, this guy is just electric. I'm going to use the word electric from now on because there's 3 other guys past Dyami Brown that I would call electric, but this guy is just utterly ridiculous. I think he's really underrated as a route runner. A lot of people just peg him as a deep threat. I think he can give you a lot in the intermediate game. His separating ability is so nice. His run after the catch is underrated as well. He's so physical as a blocker. His athletic traits we have yet to see because UNC's Pro Day is in a couple days, so I'm really excited to see what he runs. And I just love him projecting into the NFL. I really do. Tired Terrace Marshall is wide receiver 6. No, wired Dyami Brown is wide receiver 6. My God, guys, just do yourself a favor and watch the Virginia game. This guy is an absolute badass when he just goes for it, and I absolutely love him. He's definitely my guy, and that's why I have him at number 6. Rondale Moore comes in at number 5 from Purdue, and if you guys have seen his testing, this dude is an athletic freak. The dude is like a bowling ball because defenders are like pins that just bounce off of him when he runs into them. It's absolutely ridiculous. His separation ability is excellent, and his release package is really nice as well. His hands are all right. They're all right. The concern with him is his injuries, and I totally get that. And the difference between him and Kadarius Toney is I just think he has more upside as a number 1 option. I really do. And I think you can get more out of him as a true receiver that doesn't need to be manufactured touches. I think he definitely should get manufactured touches, but I think he has way more upside than Toney as a true receiver. I think his long speed is better than Toney's. I think because of obviously his athletic traits, I think his separation ability is better than Toney. I just really like him more as a true alpha receiver than Toney. That's why I like him more. Now, obviously, if you prefer Toney because of the injury concerns, I totally get that. I just love Rondale. I've loved him for a while now. It just sucks to see that his injuries kind of push him down a little. Yeah, if you need a guy like him, take him because he is a special talent. We're into the top 4 with Rashod Bateman out of Minnesota. If you guys have been listening to me up until this point, you know I love these all-around receivers, and that's just what Rashod Bateman is. As someone who's watched Devonta Adams his whole career, Rashod Bateman reminds me a bit of Devonta Adams coming out, where they're not the best athlete, but they're super technical, and they just beat you with their sheer technical prowess, where they're a really good route runner, they have really good hands, the release package is really nice. Everything about him, other than his athletic upside, is just excellent. And I think he could definitely be an alpha receiver in this league. Just like Tylan Wallace, I think he has one of the highest floors in this entire class. And if you slot him into an NFL offense right out the gate, I think he's going to produce right away. I'm very confident in his abilities as of right now. Maybe he won't have the most upside in the world because of his limitations. Devonta Adams is the best receiver in the NFL right now, and he wasn't the best athlete coming out, but he just kept developing his arsenal of his release package, his route running, and he just became so dominant at that. And I could see Rashod Bateman doing just that as well. But he's at number 4 because of that. And that's just how the draft industrial complex works. Even though Rashod Bateman very well could be the best receiver out of this class, it's just athletic upside. That's what holds players down when it comes to draft rankings, and it sucks to say, but it's true. Well, before I say this, the top 3 receivers in this class, Smith, Waddle, and Chase. Big shocker, I have those as the top 3. If you have these guys ranked in any order, I would understand it completely. I really would. But Devonta Smith is my number 3 receiver in this class, and I really can't explain why. It's just I have very slight concerns with his translation to the NFL because of his frame, obviously. And I know that's been talked about a lot. But I think once he goes up against NFL bodies and they press up against him, he's going to struggle a little bit out the gate. I could definitely envision him struggling at the start of his NFL career, and people call him a bust because of that. Because I don't think he's going to be able to add a pound to that frame at all once he gets to the league. Because if Alabama couldn't add weight to him, I doubt anyone else could. Anything else other than that? His hands are the best in the class. That is without a question. That dude has pillows for hands. His route running is also the best in the class. If you ask me, he's just a technician. His release package is really nice. His separation ability is so good. His yards after the catch is also really nice. It's just, I don't know how well he can translate to the NFL right out the gate. I definitely can envision him getting to be the number 1 wide receiver, like a Stephon Diggs type player, as a skinnier bodied guy who's just so good at route running with their hands. I could definitely see that for him. It's just, I mean, I have him as a 90 grade. A 90 grade is like a top 10 player for me. And there's so many talented offensive players in this class. It's just that I have preferences over him. And Jaylen Waddle will be one of them at number 2. And Jaylen Waddle, unlike Rashod Bateman and Kadarius Toney, who are those speed threats that you would expect to manufacture touches for, you could do that with Jaylen Waddle. But Jaylen Waddle is a whole level above those two when it comes to being a true wide receiver 1. I mean, his route running is on a whole other level. His hands are so much better than both of those guys. His release package is absolutely lethal. His separation ability and run after the catch ability, like those two, is on par with them. Possibly even better. Jaylen Waddle is a freak of nature. He is a freak of nature. And if you had him at receiver 1, I completely would understand it if you just fell in love with his speed ability. He is levels above what Henry Ruggs was last year, and I liked Ruggs last year. But Waddle is just so much further beyond Ruggs as a technician at the receiver position, and I just love him so much. That's why he's at number 2. And what won't come as a shock to any of you is JaMarr Chase is my number 1 wide receiver, coming in with a 95 grade, which is the highest grade I've ever given a wide receiver. I had CeeDee Lamb as a top 5 player last year. JaMarr Chase is just unfair. That is just the word I would use to describe JaMarr Chase. His athletic ability is so unparalleled with his ability as a route runner and as a player that can do so much after the catch. It's just completely ridiculous what he can do. His hands are great. His release package is just undeniably spectacular. His route running is excellent. His separation ability is like the only thing I would knock on him. He does struggle a little bit to separate downfield, but he's so dominant at the catch point that he can just not even worry about the separation that he kind of lacks a little. And then his athletic traits are just amazing. And his run after the catch ability is on par with guys like Jaylen Waddle and Rondale Moore, because it's just utterly unfair that a guy of his size is so shifty, can get through guys so easily. It's just ridiculous how special of a talent JaMarr Chase is. He's number 4 overall on my big board. That's why he's my number 1 wide receiver. Like I said, if you had him below Devonta and Jaylen, I wouldn't blame you at all, but that's just my personal take. He is the best receiver I've ever watched. So what did you guys think of my top 10 wide receivers in the 2021 NFL draft? And let me know if you want me to do any more of these videos, and what position group do you want me to do next? I mean, it's not that hard for me to do these. I grade players on my own time, even though they probably don't see the light of day, but now I actually get to share them with you guys to some capacity, and I'm completely fine with doing that. So if you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. I'd be willing to do a lot more of these, and I really enjoyed it. Let me know what your top 10 are in the comments down below. Here are some honorable mentions that just missed the list, and I love these guys as well. They just barely missed. And keep your eyes on these guys, because this receiver class is just ridiculous. Monroe St Brown, I had graded as a early 3, late 2 as the 10th wide receiver. That is insane, but that's going to do it. Please be sure to like the video and subscribe here to All Sports Culture on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.